Hello and welcome to After the Headlines. I'm Sarza. Today I want to talk about something that has made many people in Bangladesh angry, grief-stricken, and disgusted. Because what happened at Doludia Ferry Terminal, one of the busiest water transport routes in the country, was not just a tragedy. It is a failure at the systems level. A passenger bus plunged into the Podda River while boarding a ferry. At least 26 people died. Among the dead are women and children. Rescue teams eventually pulled the bus out, but not before families had spent long hours waiting, hoping, then giving up on that hope, and finally begging for one last thing: the dead bodies of their loved ones. That is where I want to begin, with the human wreckage. There's a child survivor around 8 years old who swam out right after the bus went under, but he lost his mother in that crash. And you can see journalists flocking around the child asking insensitive questions while the child is visibly traumatized. Another woman lost her only son, her younger brother, and her mother, 3 members from one family, gone in a single afternoon. Calling this an accident is dodging responsibility. Bangladesh has become far too comfortable with preventable deaths. The government announced 25,000 taka for each family of the deceased and 15,000 taka for each injured person. That is the official relief. 25,000 taka is roughly $200. That is roughly the cost of facial or makeover in some beauty parlors or a wedding dress. And this 25,000 taka is supposed to stand in, however symbolically, for a dead parent, a dead child, a dead sibling. This is not compensation in any morally serious sense. It's insulting. It is administrative tokenism. And the most revealing part is this: these exact same numbers, 25,000 taka for the dead, 15,000 taka for the injured, show up again and again in Bangladesh. After the recent Kumila train bus collision, the same amount. In many cases, such as for victims of lightning strike, the family receives a compensation within a same range of, 7,500 taka to 25,000 taka, that being the upper bound. And this means that the number is not carefully determined by the gravity of the tragedy. It is merely a bureaucratic template, a default setting, a preloaded amount for public grief. And this matters because compensation is not only about money. It is about what the government thinks a life is worth, or rather, how seriously the state takes the duty to acknowledge loss. And the message here is clear and brutal. Here's your envelope with some cash. Now please proceed with your mourning quietly. Bangladesh's response, in contrast to neighboring states, looks not just small, but almost performatively tiny. Then there is the rescue operation itself. This is where the governance question becomes impossible to avoid. International best practice in water disaster response is not mysterious. It involves a clear command structure, rapid scene control, pre-positioned dive and recovery assets, immediate casualty accounting, and integrated coordination across fire service, river authorities, police, health services, local administration. Bangladesh's own standing orders on disaster management and disaster handbooks talk about collecting and maintaining usable search and rescue equipment and improving coordinated response. Research on Bangladeshi water disasters has also repeatedly pointed out to enforcement gaps, inadequate preparedness, and operational weakness in river transport emergencies. So this is not a knowledge problem, it is a governance problem. We know what better practice looks like. We simply do not feel the need or urgency to operationalize it. People are not only grieving the dead, they are grieving the pattern in which fatal transport disasters happened. Rescue is slow, accountability is vague, and compensation is insulting. Then the news cycle moves on, but families do not move on. Children do not move on. A mother who loses her only son, her only brother and mother in one crash does not move on. A functioning state is not just an administrative machine. It is a moral institution. Its first obligation is not to issue statements. It is to protect life where risk is known and to respond with dignity where protection fails. Time after time, the state has failed, first in prevention, then in what came after. And until that is said clearly, we will keep calling systemic injustice an accident. Thank you for listening. This is After the Headlines. I'm Sarza. If this episode meant something to you, then stay in the conversation. Act. But please don't let this become just another tragedy that dissolves into the timeline. Until next time.